Okay, folks, in this video, you're going to see why the next Super Bowl has to be held at this stadium, which looks like a coiled snake, and why it has to be held in Arizona, this Super Bowl 57, which is the next one. And before I get into what this video is about, let me explain to the people who might not know what my two predictions are. My two predictions are that Donald Trump gets his head wound on August 4th, which just so happens to be Obama's birthday. So Trump gets the head wound and he survives the head wound, and it's most likely going to be in Ohio. Like I said, August 4th. And the other prediction, which is what this video is about, is that there's going to be a spectacular event in Seattle, and somehow Elvis and his name or the number of his name or his image becomes attached to this spectacular event. Anyway, it's going to happen on June 11th in Seattle. And like I said, in order to understand why this Super Bowl is so important, we have to go back to Super Bowl number 1 to fully understand it. And of course, if you ask Google what Elvis's favorite sport is, it says football. Okay? Okay, now pay attention closely, okay? So football started way before 1966, but the first Super Bowl was in 1967. But the season starts in 66, okay? That's how it always is. Like, I'll give you an example, like the 1968 Super Bowl, the season started in 67. Anyway, so the first Super Bowl was in 67. It started in 66, the season. The winner was the Green Bay Packers. The second Super Bowl started in 67, ended in 68 with the Super Bowl number 2. And again, it was won by the Green Bay Packers. And why is this important? First of all, obviously the Green Bay Packers is not in Washington State where Seattle is. But Seattle is known as the Emerald City, and the state of Washington is known as the Evergreen State. So you have the green reference, okay? And I told you Elliott Bay is in Seattle. I mean, where Seattle is Elliott Bay. So you have the Bay connection, you have the green for the Emerald City, which Seattle is, and green Evergreen State is Washington. And remember these numbers, 66, 67, 68? So Elvis, he had an identical twin that supposedly died at birth, but who knows? They might have sacrificed him, or he didn't die at all. Nobody knows. And that's why Trump is the replacement twin. Or he could be the real twin. Nobody knows, like I said. Anyway, so his identical twin died at birth. And that's why the Twin Towers went down and everything. Everything is connected to Elvis. Anyway, the word twin equals 66. And I told you the season started in 66. And Elvis, his name, it equals 67 forwards and 68 backwards. You see? 67, 68. And I just showed you that the season started in 66. That's the word twin. 66, twin equals 66. Elvis equals 67, 68. You see? The first two Super Bowls. And how is this connected? Like, how does it connect to Elvis and 611? The coach of the Green Bay Packers, who won the first two Super Bowls. So here's the coach right here that won the first two Super Bowls. I'm going to show you his name in a moment. Interestingly enough, the quarterback who won, his name was Bart Starr. And he was born, I think, one day before Elvis was. I think his birthday is January 7th or something like that. Either one day before or one day after Elvis was born. January 8th, Elvis was born. Anyway, what's important is this guy, the coach, Vince Lombardi. So first, let me show you that he was the winner of the first two. So Vince Lombardi was the coach for the Green Bay Packers when they won the very first Super Bowl in 67 and in 68, okay? And you see this trophy that Tom Brady is holding? And the reason I'm showing you this is because the Super Bowl trophy that the teams get for winning is called the Vince Lombardi Trophy. The guy who won the first 2 Super Bowls, okay? And the reason he's so important to this puzzle, Vince Lombardi, who they named the trophy after, is born on June 11th. You see that? The day I'm telling you Seattle's going to get struck. All right? So the football trophy is named after a guy who was born on June 11th. Okay, now we have to go forward to Super Bowl 16 to get the next connection. Okay? So the Super Bowl 16, and why is this important? So remember, we went from the first Super Bowl to the 16th Super Bowl, right? So Washington was the first president, and the very first president that was killed was the 16th president, which was Abe Lincoln. Now, Elvis, he was born in the month of January, which is the first month. Trump is born in the month of June, which is the 6th month. So there's your 1-6 again. I'm trying to show you the connections to the 16th Super Bowl. That's what all this 1-6 stuff is about. So the insurrection, which happened, the Capitol insurrection happened on January 6th, 1-6 again. Elvis, he died on the 16th. Oops, I wrote the word say. Hold on. Elvis, he died on the 16th day in August. So there's your 16 again. And Elvis died in state number 16, which is Tennessee. You see that? So he dies in the 16th state on the 16th day, and he's born on the first month. Trump's born in the 6th month, 1-6. Insurrection was 1-6. First president that was killed was the 16th president, Abe Lincoln. Now I want you to pay attention, okay? So the word Seattle, okay, if you put into the gematria calculator, there's what it equals, okay? I'm going to get back to the 16th Super Bowl in a moment. I'm just showing you this before I show that. Seattle equals 82-19 going forward, and this is the backwards, but pay attention only to this. 1982, 82-19. So the 16th Super Bowl happened in 1982. You see that? I just told you that Seattle equals 82-19. 1982. There it is right there. And January is the first month. And look, 2 + 4 = 6. 1-6 again, the 16. Super Bowl 16. And the reason we skipped all the way over to the 16th Super Bowl, not only because of all the connections to Elvis, what I just showed you, but because of this dude. This guy was the MVP of Super Bowl 16, and he was the quarterback of the winning team, okay? And I'm going to show you why this is so important, this Joe Montana, and why it had to be the 16th Super Bowl, because this team that won, it was their first win. So the team that won that Super Bowl was San Francisco 49ers. Okay, and I'm going to show you why this is important, okay? So that Super Bowl and that Montana, his name was Joe Montana, the quarterback. Look at the number he's wearing, 16, okay? And it was the Super Bowl 16 that they won, okay? It was their first win. See, win their first Super Bowl, the Vince Lombardi Trophy. And Vince Lombardi is born on June 11th, right? Let's see when Joe Montana's born. So Joe Montana is born on June 11th. You see? You see how it all connects? And this is the same year that Elvis took the needle. Elvis was the first famous person to take an injection on live television. He took the polio shot that year. But anyway, it's June 11th again. See, now you understand? Anyway, like I said, this Joe Montana was born on June 11th. That Super Bowl, like I said, was on January 24th, 1982. And I told you Seattle equals 8219. And 49ers, the reason that their name is so important, look, 4 times 9 equals 36. And I told you if you add up 1 through 36, it's 666. So basically 4 nines is 36, 4 times 9. But anyway, so this date, Elvis had already died. Elvis died in 1977. So Elvis died on August 16th, 1977. Let's see how many days in between his birthday, his death, and the day they won the 16th Super Bowl. So from the day Elvis died, August 16th, 1977, to the 16th Super Bowl date is 1,623 days. Look at these numbers. 1623. So remember the numbers I just told you, 1, 6, 2, and 3. So June 11th is the 162nd day of the year and the 163rd. So it's the 162 and a 3. Get it? It's June 11th, all right? Those numbers that I just showed you for this equation from Elvis's death to the 16th Super Bowl, you see? 162 or 163, which is June 11th. And look at that, 4 years, 5 months. Trump is the 45th president, and Elvis has been dead for 45 years. So remember the numbers I just showed you? 1623 was the amount of days between Elvis's death and the 16th Super Bowl. 1623 was the numbers. So look at this. So if this is Super Bowl 16, and I told you the numbers were 1623, now let's go to the 23rd Super Bowl and see what happened. So Super Bowl 23 was won by the 49ers, who also won Super Bowl 16. Okay? Remember, we're talking about that 1623 number that I was showing you, right? That equation. So the 16th Super Bowl was won by the 49ers. The 23rd Super Bowl was won by the 49ers. And like I said, for Super Bowl 16, it was the San Francisco 49ers who won. But look who lost. It was the Cincinnati Bengals. And in Super Bowl 23, exact same two teams again. 49ers and Bengals. And why is that? Because, see, Bengals is a tiger reference. And I told you it's the year of the tiger this year and into next year. And I'm going to explain that in a future video, why it's so important. But here's another, like I said, important thing besides the 1623. Because remember, I told you from Elvis's death to Super Bowl 16 was 1,623 days. The 16th Super Bowl, and then the 23rd, which is what I just showed you. And I told you Seattle equals 8219 for the year right there. And then the 1,623 days is the 162nd day of the year is June 11th, and the 163rd day is leap year on June 11th. So it's got the same numbers. And of course, the Super Bowl 23 score, look at the score. It's 2016 or 1620. Okay, and I just told you that the 162nd day of the year, the 162, the 162nd day of the year is June 11th. Okay? You see how many connections? All right? Vince Lombardi being born June 11th. Joe Montana, the quarterback for the 49ers, born June 11th. Earlier when I told you the 1,623 days is June 11th, you understand? 162, 163. And here's another connection. Elvis died in Tennessee, which is the 16th state, and he was born in the 20th state, which is Mississippi. I told you it never ends, these connections. And I told you Elvis had an identical twin who died at birth, supposedly, or was sacrificed, like I said. And his name was Jesse. And this is how it's spelled on his gravestone. So Elvis and Jesse were both born on 1/8, January 8th. And if you add that up, look, it's 216. You understand, it's the 16 connection against 2/16. The 216th day of the year is August 4th. If you say the date backwards like they do in the UK, they say the day first and then the month, 8181, it's 16/2. 162nd day of the year is June 11th. And the same year that the Super Bowl 23 happened, there was a huge incident in the state of Washington that had to do with the Seattle Space Needle. On April Fool's Day, 1989, they interrupted a show called Almost Live. And look, live is like the word Elvis. I told you it's just missing the letter S. So they interrupted a show called Almost Live, and it was some kind of comedy show, but they made it like it was breaking news.
Regularly scheduled programming for the following special report.
Good evening. Approximately 7 minutes ago at 6:53 p.m., the Space Needle collapsed.
So remember, this was the same year as the Super Bowl 23, right? And look, it said it sent Seattle into a panic when they said that the Space Needle collapsed. And of course, it was King TV that they were, broadcasting it. And, because Seattle's in King County and Elvis is known as the King. So look, it's Super Bowl 23. It happened in 1989, like I said, the same year as that Seattle Space Needle prank. Look who the halftime show was. It was a show called The Bebop Bamboozled in 3D. It was an Elvis impersonator and a magician, you see? He was doing magic tricks and dancing and everything. It was all about Elvis, okay? And what makes this so important, okay, besides, of course, the Elvis, right there, it's in your face. The Elvis, was at the halftime show, okay? Halfway through 23, get it? Remember, this was Super Bowl 23. So halfway through 23 would be like June. Do you get it? June is halfway through the year 23. All right? But what makes this so important is the fact that they emphasized the glasses. It was a 3D glasses night. By the way, the impersonator was 33 years old. Look, they even have like a Space Needle right here on the field during the thing. You just go and watch it if you want to. Just put Elvis at the Super Bowl 23 halftime show on YouTube. You can watch it. It's the worst halftime show, but it just explains to you everything they're doing. But look, it was an Elvis impersonator, like I said, magician, get it? And the glasses, that's what's important. Look, they handed out 26 million pairs of 3D glasses for the Super Bowl. Glasses. Why is that important? Because the word glasses, okay, and by the way, this was the only Super Bowl where they did that, okay? It's so ridiculous, 26 million pairs of glasses. Look what it equals. So the word glasses equals 8219, and backwards it equals 10744. What equals the exact same as glasses is the word Seattle. Seattle equals 8219, 10744, you see? So glasses equals Seattle. It's telling you right to your face. Can't you see it? All right? I told you, Elvis is the Antichrist. And where do the 49ers play football? At Levi's Stadium. Levi's is the anagram for Elvis. E-L-V-I-S. You see? Elvis Stadium. 49ers. But back then, it wasn't called Elvis Stadium. It was called something else. Candlestick Park or something. I don't know. But I'm just trying to tell you, it's called Levi's Stadium. Elvis Stadium. Oh, and by the way, if you entered the words Levi's Stadium into the gematria calculator, it would equal 154. And the Antichrist equals 154. So the Super Bowl is played at different places. It's not like it's played at whoever the home team is or the winning team. It's not like that. they just pick and choose every year, right? Supposedly. But of course, it's all scripted. But look, Super Bowl 23, it's in Miami Stadium, but it wasn't called Hard Rock Stadium back then when the Super Bowl 23. And Elvis was known as the King of Rock, right? But it was called Joe Robbie Stadium at the time when Super Bowl 23 went off, when Elvis was at the halftime show. It was called Joe Robbie Stadium. Again, a Joe reference, just like Joe Montana was born on June 11th, the quarterback for the 49ers during the Super Bowl 23. Anyway, Joe Robbie Stadium. Let's find out when this Joe Robbie Stadium opened. See, it's Joe Robbie Stadium, but now it's called Hard Rock. But look, it opened on August 16th, 1987. August 16th. That's when Elvis died. August 16th, you see? Same date. And check out this equation. So from Super Bowl 16, this is the date, to Super Bowl 23. Look at that. 6 years, 11 months, 30 days. Look, it's 6/11. Again, I just ask you, what's the coincidence for all of this? And here's some more incredible coincidences. So from the very first Super Bowl on January 15, 1967 to the 23rd Super Bowl, look at that, 8,044 days. Look at that. It's the 8-4 connection. Because I told you Trump gets his head wound on August 4th, and then 4 days later on August 8th, he comes back into the limelight. He heals from his deadly wound. Anyway, and look at this. It's 22 years, 8 days. Elvis died on August 16th. August 16th is the 228th day of the year. Look at that. Exactly 22 years and 8 days. From the first Super Bowl to the 23rd Super Bowl when Elvis was the halftime show. And I told you the devil's always in the details. Look at the devil in the details number. The percentage of how much time 8,044 days is. Look at that. 2203.84. So you have 2023 right there. 8-4. I told you Trump gets his head wound on 8-4. And 2023 is the year both of these events happen. The June 11th and August 4th event. So remember, I was telling you that the Bengals played the 49ers in Super Bowl 16 and 23, right? Those important Super Bowls that I was showing you. And I told you that the year of the tiger, because it's a Bengal is a tiger, right? It was in 2022. And look who played. It was the LA Rams against the Bengals. Again with the Bengals in the year of the tiger. And look at the score, 20-23. And this was in 2022, and next year's 2023, because I told you both years are connected to each other. 2023. All right. Okay, now I'm going to get to the connections with Super Bowl 57, which is the next one coming up. And like I said, this stadium looks like a coiled snake, because I told you Elvis is the serpent. And remember, I told you that Elvis is the phoenix, okay? He's the beast out of the sea. He's the phoenix rising. He's the kraken. He's the goat, okay? So next year's Super Bowl is in Glendale, Arizona. And I live in Glendale, but I live in Glendale, California, okay? And so this next year, it's in Glendale, Arizona, and it's called State Farm Stadium. But what was the name? What was the name of this snake building before? See, look, State Farm Stadium. It was called University of Phoenix. See, it was the Phoenix Stadium. And guess where the 42nd Super Bowl was? At Phoenix Stadium, which is now State Farm. And look, it was on February 3rd, 2-3. Because I told you Elvis is going to appear in the year 20... Not appear, but the Seattle event is going to happen on June 11th, 2023. Anyway, so the 42nd Super Bowl was in Glendale, Arizona, and the 57th. Okay, don't look at this right now. Just pay attention to what I'm showing you. So Super Bowl 2023... is the 57th Super Bowl, right? But the season it starts in 2022, right? And it started on September 8th of this year. And look, the Queen died that day. It started, okay? Now, you'll see why I'm showing you this. So 2022 is the year that it started, the Super Bowl 57 season. It started in 2022. Okay, so this is the prime numbers. The 20th prime number equals 71, and the 22nd prime number equals 79. Look at this. It's 42, because 20 plus 22 equals 42, and over here, 71 plus 79 equals 150. I'll show you why I'm showing you this. Okay, now pay attention, okay? I did a whole video on this, and I can't get into the details of it. I have to be careful what I say about this. But there was a march, a protest on June 11th of this year that was all across America and even in other countries, okay? But it was all across America, almost every, not every city, but every city, one city in every state or whatever the heck, I don't know. But you can look it up yourself. It was called March for Our Lives, and lives is an anagram for Elvis, like I said, with Levi's. And it was about this word, G-U-N. And G-U-N equals 42, 15, and the total is 57. And that's why it was used on that day, okay? Because I told you next year is the 57th Super Bowl, 42, 15, 57. And what does the 15 mean? The 15th letter of the alphabet is O. The O is a crown. That's why it's so important. From the 42 to the 57. So remember what I said, that the Super Bowl 57 started in 2022, the season, but it ends in 2023 with Super Bowl 57. And I told you the prime numbers added to 42, 150. And I told you the 15th letter of the alphabet is the O. So that's what this is. It's a crown. 42 plus 15. And it's the crown. 42, 15 equals 57. 57. You understand? That's what's happening here. It has a crown. And why am I showing you this? Because the 57th Super Bowl is in... See, the 42nd Super Bowl was in Glendale, Arizona, and the 57th was in Glendale, Arizona. Do you see? It needed the crown, and that's what that is. The 15 crown. 42, 15 equals 57. That's why it's being played in the same place at this time. And the reason that the 42 was played in Glendale, Arizona also, just like it's going to be played next year, the 42nd Super Bowl was played in Glendale, Arizona, like I said. Because Elvis died at the age of 42. Washington's the 42nd state where Seattle is. And look, Seattle, Washington's initials, SW, equals 42. And remember I told you that the 49ers had won the 16th and the 23rd Super Bowl? Guess what? They also won the 19th Super Bowl. So you have the 19 and 23 connection also to make the 42. And even the 42nd prime number, it equals 181. And then if you add the 42 to it, you get 223. Because next year's the year, I told you. All right? And remember, I told you that the words, the Antichrist equals 154. 2023, that's the prime number, 71 and 83 it equals 154. And if you add the 43, which 20 and 23 equal, makes 197, and the 45th prime number is 197. That's when, because Elvis has been dead for 45 years and Trump is the 45th president. And remember, I told you that the Super Bowl trophy is named after Vince Lombardi, who won the first two Super Bowls. Vince Lombardi, I told you, was born on June 11th. That's the day Seattle's going to get struck. And look, he died at the age of 57. You see that? And I told you next year's the 57th Super Bowl. And here's some more incredible coincidences. So Vince Lombardi died on September 3rd, 1970. And look, I told you the 197 is the 45th prime number. The zero is a crown. And from his death date, Vince Lombardi, who died at 57, next year's 57th Super Bowl, August 16th, 1977 is the day Elvis died. From his day to Elvis's death, from his death to Elvis's death, look, it's 2,540 days. I'll get to that in a moment. But look at this, 6 years, 11 months, 14 days. 6/11 is the June 11th, and the 14th of June is Trump's birthday. Look at that. And you know this number? The 254th day of the year is 9/11. So it's 9/11 with a crown. You see that? And speaking about the number 45, because I told you Elvis died Elvis has been dead for 45 years, and Trump is the 45th president. You know who was in Super Bowl 45? The Packers, who was in the Super Bowl number 1. Okay? The guy who was born on June 11th, the coach, who the trophy's named after, the Super Bowl trophy. So he was in the number 1, and the Packers won the number 45 one also. Look at that. All right? And that happened in 2011. And you know what happened that same year? That's the year that this person got shot in the head. This congresswoman named Gabby Giffords. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because this shooting happened on Elvis's birthday, the same year that the 45th Super Bowl happened. And look where it happened, in Tucson, Arizona. Okay? Arizona. Do you get it? That's what this year's Super Bowl is. The Super Bowl 57, the one that's coming up. And it just so happens Arizona equals 84. And the reason I'm saying that is because I told you Trump's going to get his head wound on 8/4, and the 45th Super Bowl happened the same year that Gabby Giffords got shot in Tucson, Arizona, on Elvis's birthday. Do you understand? And it was 8/4. And you know, she was a congresswoman. The congressman got shot on June 14th, which was Trump's birthday, which happened 6 years later. And Glendale, Arizona is the 48th state. Arizona is the 48th state where the Super Bowl 57 is going to be. And that's the 8/4 backwards. You see that? So Super Bowl 57 is going to be in Arizona. 2023 Super Bowl is in the 48th state. 2023, 48th state. And it just so happens that the 48th prime number is 223. 2023 played in the 48th state, which is Arizona. Can you believe this? And how many Super Bowls has the Seattle Seahawks won? They've only won one Super Bowl. Can you guess which Super Bowl number? So the Seattle Seahawks, they won Super Bowl 48. You see that? Can you believe what I'm showing you, man? Is this unbelievable? Or what? Anyway, folks, I had another hour's worth of information, but I had to end it. This was one of the most difficult videos to put together, and that is why it was so hard to understand, and I apologize if it was. Like I always say, it's like trying to explain the unexplainable. Anyway, these are my predictions. Don't forget it. End of video.